Welcome. True and restorative history is being hidden from the masses. Do you know that every major ancient Greek and Roman historian left written and recorded testimonies that the kingdom of ancient Ethiopia was far older than ancient Egypt? Now, this is being slowly glossed over so that eventually it will totally disappear. The top architects doing this glossing over and hiding are the Egyptologists, academics, and novice researchers alike. What they want to fudge and what they are fudging is that this epoch changing and revealing knowledge system or wisdom will eventually disappear and remove the connection between ancient Hamit Egypt or Ta-Meri and Northern Ethiopia, Nubia, and Ta-Seti. So that eventually they want to pull ancient Egypt into Europe or so-called Mediterranean civilization or whatever term they come up with. May the gods appear, our ancestors arise, our hearts are blazed with the glory, the majesty and the contemplation of the nameless, not spirit or being creator, beyond the chasm. Amen. 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 Ra. My religion is Kamitics. Ubuntu my heart consciousness is my spirituality. I am a Kamitician. Our topic today is older than ancient Egypt. The purpose and the objective of this presentation is to remind you of the facts and proofs and evidence that Egyptological history must be treated as fallacious at first, then seek the verification using the hierarchy of evidence. Why should we know every detail about other civilizations that are older than ancient Egypt? It will resolve our identity issues. Why is that important? Knowledge of our ancestry activates our totems, gives us our original culture, religion, and secondly, it will help us identify the real liars and the cultural thieves. Why is this important? Because we will be able to apply elements from our true history and tactics from our true history, which will eventually give us mastery in clear thinking. Why is clear thinking important? Because it will help us develop stamina, survival tactics, which allows us to manage life challenges, death, fears, defeating poverty, racism, tribalism, and anxiety, all thrown at us by the current system that instituted slavery, colonialism, and religious divisions. Way before there was Kush, Nubia, Hamid, and Aksum, there were organized settled communities throughout the whole of Africa that developed amazing calendars, remarkable layouts and construction and mastery of time. And this is one of them, known as Adam's calendar, found in Mpumalanga, South Africa, one of the oldest calendars on earth today. During the fall of the ice age 14,000 years ago, the Sahara was a lush land with wildlife and several lake basins. The Nubian desert in South Egypt is called Nabla Playa. Archaeologists were able to prove that around 9000 BCE that there was evidence of prehistoric religion, with a number of sacrificed cattle buried in stone-roofed chambers lined with the clay. A map there, which is one of oldest astronomical megalith alignment and accurately chart the stars and seasons. It is known as the calendar circle. This is our legacy. This is our heritage. This is our knowledge system. Let no one come with any other explanation. Historical eyewitness accounts, written descriptions, and clear testimony prove civilizations older than ancient Egypt. We have shown why this is critical to know. Diodorus Siculus was a Greek historian. He is known for writing the monumental Universal History Bibliotheca Historica much of which survives between 60 and 30 before Common Era. This is his book. Quoted here saying, now, the Ethiopians, as historians relate, were the first of all men, and the proofs of this statement, they say, are manifest. For that they did not come into their land as immigrants from abroad, but were natives of it, and so justly bear the name of autochthones, which is that they came out of those lands. But do you know what? Today there are scholars, doctorates, trying to dispute and say, no, he didn't mean that. What a lie. Ancestor. They also say that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by Ethiopians, Ausari having been the leader of the colony. For speaking generally, what is now called Egypt, they maintain was not land, but sea, when in the beginning of the universe was being formed afterwards. However, as the Nile, during the time of its inundation, carried down the mud from Ethiopia, land was gradually built up from this deposit. What an explanation of the rising of the waters of Nubia and the building of the lands and the birth of ancient Kemet from the oceans by the sands and the soil of ancient Great Lakes region. Very, very meaningful and telling. Also, the statement that all the land of the Egyptians is alluvial silt deposited by the river receives the clearest proof in their opinion from what takes place at the outlets of the Nile. For as each year new mud is continually gathered together at the mouths of the river, the sea is observed being thrust back by the deposited silt, and the land receiving the increase. And the larger part of the customs of the Egyptians are, they hold, Ethiopian. The colonists still preserving their ancient manners. At Diodorus Siculus Augustus, the Library of History, Book 3, paragraph 3 to 4, page 95. Here is Ausari, the great ancestor, the civilizer of the whole earth. All the ancestors. We look at Strabo now, a Greek geographer, philosopher, and historian who lived in Asia Minor during the transitional period of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Strabo mentions the Nubians as a great race west of the Nile. West of the Nile. The faces of the Egyptians of the old monarchy are Ethiopian. But as the ages went on, they altered from the constant intermingling with the Asiatic types. It's very straight, no arguments. Wise men occupying the Upper Nile, men of long life, whose manners and customs pertain to the golden age. The golden age before ancient Egypt. Those virtuous mortals whose feasts and banquets are honored by Jupiter himself. In Greek times, the Egyptians depicted Ethiopia as an ideal state. Now, the Puranas, the ancient historical books of India, speak of the civilization of Ethiopia as being older than that of Egypt. These Sanskrit books mention the names of old Kushite kings that were worshipped in India and were adopted and changed to suit the fancy of the later people of Greece and Rome. Source: The Ruins or Meditation of the Revolutions of Empires and the Law of Nature by von C.F. Constantine Francois. Publication date 1890. And you know what? The modern Egyptologists are getting doctorates trying to change all this. However, let me remind us and remind yourself that we, the black African Ethiopian peoples of the world, our entire continent was called Ethiopia before the Europeans invaded it. But it had an older name. Even the ocean, which they changed to Atlantic, was called Ethiopic Ocean by some geographers. That's a fact that we should all understand and accept. The Caucasians, where even some people have written theories called Not Out of Africa, opposing even some great scholars and honest scholars like the writers that have proved that the Caucasians were not Europeans but Ethiopian. There can be no doubt that the Caucasians are an Egyptian race. Before I heard any mention of the fact from others, I had remarked it myself. After the thought had struck me, I made inquiries into the subject both in Caucasus and in Egypt, and I found that the Caucasians had a more distinct recollection of the Egyptians than the Egyptians had of them, because they were lost over there. They were sent as warriors there to defend our boundaries. The red line was still very far up north. My own conjecture, still the Egyptians say that they believe that the Caucasians to be descended from the army of Sesostris. This is Sesostris. And they try to knock off the nose. If you hear anyone else, whether it's a professor or comes up with statues or comes up with DNA proof, they are lying. It's a lie. There is clear proof that these people were melanin dominant humans. He continues, my own conjecture were founded first on the fact that they are black skinned and have woolly hair, which certainly amounts to but little, since several other nations are so too. But further and more, especially on the circumstances that the Caucasians, the Egyptians and the Ethiopians are the only nations who have practiced circumcision from earliest times. This is Herodotus, the history of Herodotus, by written 440 before Common Era. So there are people now, Egyptologists, getting doctorates trying to disprove this. And the millions of our black brothers and sisters go on and say, yeah, the Caucasians were not Ethiopians. I have given you proof here. The source of divinities, Stephanus of Byzantium, a Greek author of 6th century AD, who authored a very important dictionary entitled Ethnica. We quote him here. He says, Ethiopia was the first established country on earth. Ethiopia was the first established country on earth. And the Ethiopia we are talking about is not Abyssinia, which you see today. It's the whole of Central, West, and East Africa coming down to the south. That's the Ethiopia. We have shown the maps before, and we have shown you the maps many times over. And the Ethiopians were the first who introduced the worship of the gods and who established the laws. The vestiges of this early civilization have been found in Nubia, the Egyptian, Sudan, West Africa, Hamit, Mashonaland, India, Persia, Mesopotamia, Arabia, South America, Central America, Mexico, and the United States. You see that? Everywhere. The German scholars try to steal and distort, and they are caught red-handed. Marseille categorically dismissed the assertions of the Aryanist German Egyptologists Bunsen and Bragish, postulating an Asian origin of Egyptian civilization. Marseille asked in refutation of the Asian theory or Caucasian theory, why did the Egyptians themselves look southwards to Africa as their birthplace and refer to it as Tanetera, the land of the gods? There. Tanetera there. This is the source. They looked towards the Great Lakes. Moreover, numerous Egyptian customs are unmistakably African in character, from the practice of tracing ancestry through the maternal line to the ceremonial drying of the bodies with red ochre. Marseille even derived an Egyptian etymology for the Roman word Africa from the Egyptian Afrika, which means literally to turn toward the opening of the car. The car is the energetic double of every person, and opening of the car refers to the womb or birthplace. Africa would be for ancient Egyptians the birthplace. Parenthetically, it is worth noting that another Egyptian name for the African land south of Egypt was Ta-Seti, which means placenta land. Africa was the primary source of the world's people, languages, myths, symbols, and religions, and Egypt, Africa's mouthpiece. That's why we call ourselves Hamiti, Hebrew, ethics marifado. That's very, very interesting. Egyptian priestly class. More facts about this. The knowledge of writing was universal in Ethiopia, but was confined to the priestly classes alone in Egypt. This was because the Egyptian priesthood was Ethiopian. The highly developed Meroitic inscriptions are not found in Egypt north of the First Cataract or in Nubia south of Soba. These are differences we would expect to find between a colony and a parent body. The source: Crawford J. Griffith, written 1975, The Islands of Marua and Meroitic Scripts Archaeological Survey. There are facts here. We are hitting facts here. Now, why should we know every detail about other civilizations that are older than ancient Egypt? Knowing and living our true history will eventually activate a powerful spirit machinery system in which, via memory, we will be enabled to connect to the many divinities. To do more, you can join a family of like-minded folks as we all awake to a life of happiness and power. You need your family, your true and real family. For more information on rebuilding your spirit machine and joining an awesome team, send us an email on join@marifado.com. Visit our website www.marifado.com and learn some more. Yes, we will learn. Subscribe to our channel, Hamid Iburu Ethics. This is Preacher Rabbi LM Dumizulu saying till we meet again, Edupe Siabonga Tatenta Henkos. Yes, let's meet in part 2.